She is one of the most terrifying beings in all of Tolkien's writings. She would plunge the whole world into darkness before making Morgoth, the original Dark Lord himself, fear for his life. Today on Nerd of the Rings, we cover Ungoliant and the spiders of the First Age. Ungoliant is among the creatures of Middle-earth whose origin is a complete mystery. Some believe she may have been one of the Maiar, though she is not among the known Ainur, who are named by Tolkien. In the Silmarillion, we are told, some have said that in ages long before, she descended from the darkness that lies about Arda, and that in the beginning she was one of those that Melkor corrupted to his service. But she had disowned her master, desiring to be a mistress of her own lust, taking all things to herself to feed her emptiness. In the early days of the world, Ungoliant makes her dwelling in the lands of Avathar, south of Valinor. In a ravine she lived, and took shape as a spider of monstrous form, weaving her black webs in a cleft of the mountains. There she sucked up all light that she could find, and spun it forth again in dark nets of strangling gloom. Though this giant spider-like creature disowned the Dark Lord, she would ally with him once more for a brief time. After Melkor fuels discord among the Noldor living in Valinor, he flees. Making his way south, he comes to Avathar, seeking the aid of Ungoliant. Together they make their way north in secret, Ungoliant cloaking them in an utter darkness. Known as the Unlight of Ungoliant, this ability could be pierced by no eye, for it was a complete void. Masked in darkness, they come to the two trees, which give light to all the lands of Valinor. Morgoth strikes each tree at its base, and Ungoliant puts her wretched fangs to the wounds, drinking the light. She also drains the wells of Varda, so that the only remaining light of the trees lies in the 3 Silmarils of Feanor. With the world plunged into darkness, Ungoliant and Melkor flee Valinor. But first they would stop at Feanor's home of Formenos. There, Melkor kills Feanor's father, Finwë, and steals a great many jewels, including the Silmarils. Those who survived near Formenos would say that a blind darkness had come northward, and that in its midst there walked some power for which there was no name, and the darkness issued from it. We are given a hint at how powerful the webs of Ungoliant were, and how completely dark and void her unlight was in the Silmarillion chapter, The Darkening of Valinor. But Manwë from his high seat looked out, and his eyes alone pierced through the night, until they saw a darkness beyond dark, which they could not penetrate. Huge but far away, moving now northward with great speed, and he knew that Melkor had come and gone. Then the pursuit was begun, and the earth shook beneath the horses of the host of Orome, and the fire that was stricken from the hooves of Nahar was the first light that returned to Valinor. But so soon as any came up with the cloud of Ungoliant, the riders of the Valar were blinded and dismayed, and they were scattered, and went they knew not whither, and the sound of the Valaroma faltered and failed. And Tulkas was as one caught in a black net at night, and he stood, powerless, and beat the air in vain. But when the darkness had passed, it was too late. Melkor had gone whither he would, and his vengeance was achieved. His evil task complete, Melkor flees with Ungoliant to Middle-earth, crossing the Helcaraxe and coming to the western shores. In exchange for her help, Melkor had promised to reward her with both hands after their escape from Valinor. One by one, he gives her the jewels he had stolen, yet in his right hand he withholds the Silmarils, having desired them too greatly for himself. Having devoured the light of the two trees and the lesser jewels, Ungoliant had now grown far more massive and powerful than before. Melkor, on the other hand, had exhausted himself in his deeds of wickedness. She traps Melkor in her webs, and the Dark Lord himself, among the mightiest of the Valar, fears for his life, giving a cry of desperation that echoes about the land. Ungoliant would indeed have killed Melkor in this moment. However, his cry is heard by his Balrogs, who fly with winged speed across the lands of Beleriand to his rescue. Overcome by the fiery whips of the Balrogs, Ungoliant flees to the Ered Gorgoroth, the Mountains of Terror. There she would spawn many offspring, who infest the valley to the south, which would come to be known as Nan Dungortheb, the Valley of Dreadful Death. We are told that at one point, Ungoliant attempts to enter King Thingol's realm of Doriath, but is repelled by the power of Queen Melian, the Maya. As told in the Silmarillion, Ungoliant went down into Beleriand and dwelt beneath Ered Gorgoroth, in that dark valley that was after called Nan Dungortheb, the Valley of Dreadful Death, because of the horror that she bred there. For other foul creatures of spider form had dwelt there since the days of the delving of Angband, and she mated with them and devoured them. And even after Ungoliant herself departed, and went whither she would into the forgotten south of the world, her offspring abode there, and wove their hideous webs. As for the other spiders of the First Age, they continued to dwell in Nan Dungortheb long after Ungoliant had left. Aside from spiders, all living things avoided that valley, even the courageous Noldor, who would only pass it on paths closest to Doriath. It is said that the waters that came into that valley from the mountains were defiled and would fill the hearts of those who drank from them with both madness and despair. We are told Ungoliant abode a long time under the shadow of the precipices in which Dorthonion fell southward, and they became known as the Ered Gorgoroth, the Mountains of Terror, and none dared go thither or pass nigh them. Their life and light were strangled, and their all waters were poisoned. We are told of two people who dared to cross this cursed land, and succeeded. The first is Arethel, the daughter of the High King Fingolfin. She rides eastward from her brother's city of Gondolin with a group of elves. However, their party is separated by the shadows of the land. While her companions are chased away by the spiders, Arethel makes her way to Himlad, successfully crossing the valley. The second instance comes in the tale of Beren and Luthien. After his father's company is destroyed by orcs, Beren is a lone outlaw in the woods of Dorthonion. Eventually, the forces of Morgoth would come all too close to catching him, forcing him to flee south. He passes over the Mountains of Terror and the Valley of Dreadful Death, finally coming to the realm of Doriath, where he first meets Luthien the Fair. While a remarkable achievement to traverse this land, Beren never again spoke of his journey, lest the horror of it return to his mind. As for Ungoliant herself, her disappearance is as mysterious as her origin. However, it is said that she went into the forgotten south of the world shortly before the First Age began. Tolkien tells us, "Of the fate of Ungoliant, no tale tells. Yet some have said that she ended long ago, when in her uttermost famine, she devoured herself at last." Her descendants would torment the peoples of Middle-earth for thousands of years, across realms and ages of the world. Her most famous offspring would inhabit the mountains between Mordor and Gondor, and spawn dark spiders of her own. Shelob, the dark terror of Cirith Ungol, and her spawn, the spiders of Mirkwood. Though Ungoliant would be long gone, her evil brood would bring terror to the world of men and elves into the latest known days of Middle-earth. Next week, we celebrate the 2nd anniversary of the channel with one of my longest and most thorough videos yet. As the channel inches closer to 500,000 subscribers, we'll conclude our series on the Rings of Power with the One Ring, covering its history, powers, and of course, its travels. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make this channel possible. Tom DeBombadil 19, Listen Me the Cinda, Mandu Pandu, Andrew Carlisle, Sky Carcass, Slide Belts, Dane Ragnarsson, Salim Rahman, Zetrock, Berto Berg, Grand Strategy Nerd, Graham Darricott, The Dark-Haired One, Wyland, and Debbie. If you enjoyed the artwork in this video, check out the artists in the description and purchase prints of their great work for yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.